Welcome to Pario Magazine, where I chat with individuals who have a desire to create. Today, I'm joined by someone who I personally regard as the greatest wrestler to ever step inside the squared circle. He is a former AEW, ROH, PWG, WWE, and for us Aussies, a World Series Wrestling World Champion. Welcome to Pario Magazine, the American Dragon, Bryan Danielson.
Yeah, thank you. That was a very great introduction. paints me as a bigger deal than I am. So thank you.
Well, in my opinion, the biggest deal. So this is a very exciting moment.
Oh yeah, thank you.
Before we dive into AEW's big return, I wanted to sort of go somewhere a little bit closer to home for us. What stands out to you in your memories as like the most memorable thing from your trips down under?
So my favorite experience was actually the first time I came, which was, I want to say it was like 2007, maybe 2008. I'm not sure. I came for his name is Greg. He wrestled as TNT. I came for his promotion, and we started off with some shows in Queensland, and the first show on the tour was Surfer's Paradise. And as we were traveling to the show, I actually got to surf in Surfer's Paradise, which was like so cool. And then, yeah, I mean, like, I love independent wrestling, and I love being able to go and like see. I think independent wrestling is where you get a closer look at what the hardcore fan base in any area is like. And so that was super cool to me. I got to wrestle. I wrestled TNT. I wrestled Nigel McGinness. I wrestled a couple other guys there, and it was just a lot of fun. I also did some amazing shows in Perth for the NWA, and I got to wrestle Shane Haste and Mikey Nichols. And they've gone on. They came to WWE for a bit, and now they're in New Japan. And it's really funny because I wrestled them both. And typically when you wrestle people, you remember them. But I have such a poor facial recognition that after that, I'd met Shane Haste at least 8 times after that. And every time I was like, "Oh, hi, I'm Bryan. Nice to meet you." He goes, "Yeah, we wrestled." I was like, "Oh, sorry, man." And then I'd see him the next time. "Hey, man, Bryan Danielson. Nice to meet you." He goes, "Yeah, I know. We wrestled. We had the same conversation last time." "Oh, man, I'm so sorry." And then now it's become a running gag between the two of us. Is we're like, "Hey, man," So yeah, it's I've always loved coming to Australia to wrestle.
Obviously, this is a whirlwind trip, but before AEW comes back in February, will you sort of be bringing the family along if you are coming back for that show? And if I recall, Birdie was very eager to meet a kangaroo.
Yes, and now she really wants to meet a koala. She wants it. She asked me if I could bring home a koala bear. I said that's not how customs works. I can't just go like take a koala and then hide it in my bag and then go through international borders, right? So yeah, but yeah, she's dying to come see a koala and a kangaroo and all that kind of stuff. But I don't know. It actually would be interesting to try to make the shows in February. Try to make that a family trip versus just like a work thing where I come in and out, because that would be a lot of fun.
And especially now that you're about to embark on sort of a new phase of your career, joining the commentary booth full time, how did that come about, and sort of how do you approach the philosophy of commentary as a wrestler?
Ooh, boy. So how it came about is it had been mentioned, but then I found out the same way everybody else found out on Sunday. Like, I got a text message like, "Hey, man, so you're going to be at Dynamite this week, right?" And I was like, "Huh?" And then they sent me the tweet that Tony Khan sent out. I was just like, "Oh, okay, yep."
I guess so.
Yeah. Tony and I had talked about the possibility of it, but I didn't know it was a real thing until Sunday. It was Saturday in the United States, but Sunday here in Australia. So yeah, but my philosophy from a commentary standpoint is to do whatever I can to help move the story along, to help things seem more important, right? To help ferry the viewer along with the stories that we're trying to tell, and try to make things, because oftentimes pro wrestling can a little bit wild and weird, and sometimes a little bit sensical, and then it makes sense out of the fun, right? Like here's why this is happening. Here's what this feels like. Here's this, that, the other. But to be honest, I'm going to have to develop a stronger philosophy of commentary. And anything that anything I do, I try to do my very best. I worked at McDonald's when I was 15 years old, and I literally aspired to be the best burger. While I was doing it, I want to be the best I can possibly be at flipping these burgers, right? I want to have it always ready so that when they need a cheeseburger, they've got meat in there for the cheeseburgers, right? And so it's like, okay, now if I'm going to be on commentary full time for however long that is, I want to be the best that I can be to help make the show as good as I can make it. From my perspective.
Your longtime rival, Nigel McGinness, has also taken on that commentary role and done a phenomenal job. But in doing so, has been firing a few shots towards you from behind the desk. How are you embracing that idea of potentially rekindling the Danielson-McGinness rivalry in a new way? And do you think you can top his commentary?
No. So one of the things that I really enjoyed doing it for Ben Door, and there because I got to do commentary for Nigel McGinness against Zack Sabre Jr. And I made it a very distinct point in my mind to be like, I'm not going to do what Nigel does. Nigel buries me at every opportunity that he can, and I'm going to be, he's one of my greatest rivals. Do nothing but put him over. Just shower him with praise. And so, that's kind of the fun bits. You know what I mean? Nigel and I have a great relationship in the sense of like, and that's our real relationship backstage. He gives me as much crap as he possibly can, and I do nothing but put him over. So it's like,
yeah, treat them with extra sugar and like kindness, and hopefully that somewhat gets under his skin.
Yeah.
The McGinness-Bryan Danielson rivalry sort of began in ROH, and last time AEW was here, we got an ROH Global Wars taping. You're obviously synonymous with that brand, and you've had reported involvement with creative with Tony Khan behind the scenes. Obviously, with Tony spinning so many plates between Dynamite, Collision, Fulham, and the Jags, if there was a chance for you to take over the reins of Ring of Honor, is that something that would interest you at all?
Yeah, I mean that would interest me. I don't think Tony has interest in that. So it's like, but I mean, I'm always. So I think Tony does a really great job of juggling all these plates. Like he does a pretty great job with it. I'm always open to doing whatever the company needs. And so yeah, I would love to do it. I think Ring of Honor is a really cool product, and especially for our younger talent to be able to give them exposure. I don't know if you watched the latest Ring of Honor pay-per-view. It was incredible, but it was Lee Moriarty against Zelwa. Like I can't pronounce that guy's name very well, but it's like it was an incredible match. But I mean, Bandito versus Hechicero was unbelievable, and then you had Athena, who's doing an incredible job against Mina Shirakawa. So you've got these three incredible matches on this pay-per-view, and so it's like, yeah, I mean, when you see the talent that you've got to work with, it's like you could be like, oh, and everybody's perspective is a little different. So everybody has their little bit of difference where you see something and be like, oh, okay, I would do something a little bit different here. But I wouldn't say that my version of it would be any better than Tony Khan's version of it. That's not my, like, I don't think that, you know what I mean? I'm not here angling for a job to take over Ring of Honor. So.
If you did get that role, if Tony was like, okay, I'm going to give you this role, I need a break, who are sort of 3 to 5 wrestlers that you would want to build a new era of Ring of Honor around?
So, I mean, I think Tony's doing a great job of building it around Bandito right now. I mean, as somebody who loves the in-ring aspect of wrestling, I think Bandito's just incredible. And I think from an American perspective, he checks a lot of boxes as far as marketability, right? And so I think from he's somebody I'd really focus on. There's an independent wrestler named Adam Priest who's fantastic, who, I'd give a little bit more opportunity to. Lee Moriarty is doing a fantastic job as Pure Rules champion. I would like to see him, keep getting these opportunities, because he's also developing this incredible personality. I mean, he's also an artist. Like, he's a really great creative mind, Lee Moriarty. And then, obviously Athena's doing a great job, but then I think Red Velvet has done a great job before she got hurt, as far as the women's, the Ring of Honor TV Women's Championship. So yeah, there's a lot of people. I don't want to name. Is the more you get into naming people, the more people you leave out. And so it's like, I try not to do that too much.
Yeah, the more people that will send you a text message later being like, hey, why wasn't my name on that list?
Yeah.
And then if we sort of pivot back to sort of AEW land with the roster, and it's littered with Aussies at the moment: Kyle Fletcher, Tony Storm, Buddy Matthews, Mark Davis, Harley Cameron. And we would probably claim Jay White as well as an honorary Aussie, because that's what we do with the Kiwis. What is it about those talents that you think makes them stand out from anybody else?
Well, so I mean, they all stand out in different ways, and that's the really interesting thing. It's not like there's an Australian style. Like there's an old school British wrestling style, right? That Zack Sabre Jr. adheres to, right? There's not that for Australia, and all of these performers are different performers, right? Kyle Fletcher, who I think the world of. Like, I see him as being somebody who is going to lead this industry for the next 10 to 15 years. He has a very different style than Tony Storm, right? Tony Storm has taken that character to a whole new level. And then not only that, she gets a lot of praise for her character work, but I think her in-ring wrestling is just as impressive as far as what she's been able to do as AEW Women's World Champion. And so I think she's done a fantastic job. So, my big thing is like, okay, we have Harley Cameron, for example, didn't come in with a lot of wrestling background, but she's such an incredible entertainer. I mean, she was ventriloquist. She was a ventriloquist. She can do music. She can play the guitar. She can rap. She can speak Chinese, right? Like, nobody, some of these things are just like, how did these people get like this, right? Mark Davis, him and Kyle Fletcher were traveling around the world as this tag team and developing their skills. It just takes time, right? And so my thing is like, how do we keep this pipeline going so that we're open to new stars coming out of Australia? And it's not just AEW, because this isn't just an AEW phenomenon. You look at Rhea Ripley, who's one of the biggest stars in WWE. It's all like, why is this happening? We need to make sure this keeps happening.
Yeah, I think that's one of the most unique things that I've noticed about Australia. Each sort of area has its own style within the country. And like, I remember watching sort of Kyle Fletcher from his very first days, and there's even a match where he does a tope and lands on me sitting in the front row. So,
oh, that's awesome.
I've been watching that guy from the very beginning, and yeah, I'm very excited to see him get a world title shot in the coming weeks. So the last question I had was, AEW Grand Slam is on Valentine's Day in Sydney. You've half joked about it's a great place for proposals. I reckon I could go one better. My partner and I are planning a wedding. Why not a classic wrestling wedding at AEW Grand Slam Sydney?
Yeah. I think that's a great idea. You just know that wrestling weddings don't always turn out very good.
Yes.
So you might end up with her not saying I do, and you getting a cake in your face, and whatever it is. Everything that you wanted your wedding to be, it probably won't be that, but it might be more fun. But you might not actually be married at the end of it.
Yep. Alrighty, awesome. So yeah, tickets are available now at ticketek.com.au. Bryan, thank you for the chat. And where's the best place for people to follow you and track your creative journey moving forward?
Oh, yeah, they don't need to do that. I would say I have no need for people to follow me as an individual. If you'd like to follow AEW, you can search at AEW's Twitter on what the thing is. I think it's at AEW. I'm the worst person to be promoting social media. But at AEW on Twitter, I'm sure the same thing on Instagram. I'm sure the same thing on YouTube. But there's a lot of content out there online. The AEW YouTube channel is putting up all these tremendous matches that have happened throughout AEW's history. And if you haven't seen AEW before, just go on the AEW YouTube channel, check it out. There's going to be something incredible that'll blow your mind.
Awesome. Alrighty, thank you so much, and good luck with everything.
Thank you.